And welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Alex G. And with me, as always, we have IWAR Commissioner, BRL Commissioner, Matt Riley, and CWO Commissioner, Mr. Anderson. How are you guys doing this evening?
Excellent.
All right.
I'll answer for our IWAR Commissioner also. He is also excellent.
He has the teeth right now.
I'm down on tooth, that's for sure.
Ain't that the tooth?
Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
Well played.
This episode will be the October cycle in review, but we're going to start off with the IWAR draft. Matt, you want to go through our IWAR draft-related stuff?
Oh, sure. Okay, so we've promised to answer the questions. So some of the questions we got were in regards to, things like personally, who do we want to get that we didn't get? Who went too early? Who had the best value? Commissioners not involved in trades. Which commissioner won each trade? So we'll talk about that. To give you an idea, kind of the background of this, we started a few years ago with the first draft, and it was done live, and the second draft was done live, and this draft was also announced live. So you might say, wait a minute, what does that mean? We actually held the official draft the week before the announcement on, was it the 18th? So what we did is we actually did that draft first to kind of make sure everything runs smooth, and that gave me time, graphics-wise, to prep everything. So as we did the draft, it was boom, 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 boom. There has been some questions about, well, why did so-and-so go this high or so-and-so not go this high? I think one thing you have to realize when it comes to the IWAR network of leagues is that we are a style of play in the IWA that focuses and is built around trash talk. We have some of the most amazing players. We have players that hit 501s, and that's all great. But we've got a lot of players that give such great write-ups, promos, sneak attacks, feuds, storylines. And we appreciate that because that's what we're trying to build around. When I came back in 2010, my idea was to get to the point where we have this kind of environment. Environment that is supportive and fosters more play like this, and it's worked. I remember a few years back we had people who were like, oh, IWAR's going to ruin the IWA. And we're still standing and we're still thriving and we're still doing well. And that's because of the players we have, because people prefer this style in a great way. So that helps us. If they didn't like it, we wouldn't have success. And this draft had a lot of players that could have gone number one. I'll tell you, as an outsider who didn't have the number one draft pick overall and has spoken to the person who was drafted number one, which was Mr. Magnificent Jamie Montgomery. What you get in a package with Mr. Montgomery is a wrestler with a lot of history, a lot of storylines, great promos, and in-ring success. I mean, he's been a 10-time LWL champion, and no one else has come close to that. So for me, I could see why he went number one. So I will let the IWL commissioner tell you why.
When it comes to draft logic or draft strategy, I'm always looking for guys who not only TT a whole lot, that's a big part of it, guys who have a tendency to spend more than the minimum. I look at that too, because again, we're still looking at cards here. We want to get cards up. So we're looking, across the board here. Now, in terms of wrestlers taking it in the first round, that's a lot of pressure for these guys, by the way. If I draft someone super early, there's an expectation that that particular person can change the overall feel of the league, have an immediate impact on the league, and that can be a lot of pressure. We look at someone like Owen, who has gotten a wrestler taken in the first round, I believe, every single year we have a draft. Why? Yep. Because he's a workhorse. Doesn't miss cycles of TT. TT's every cycle. Has really good strategies. Is constantly on the title page. Wins a lot. And he engages in feuds. Yep. That's the bottom line. So when we look at the list of wrestlers that we got for this particular draft, that's what I'm looking for. Now, there's some guys in the draft that do really, really well. And they get 499s and they win titles. But they don't trash talk. And to me, those guys are worth less than people that trash talk. They're actually potentially dangerous for a league, especially with our style of play. Due to the fact that they don't participate and they don't TT, they're essentially a name on a piece of paper. If you take those wrestlers high, you miss out on all the other great talent that's out there. So that could be a potential disaster for your league. So those wrestlers historically have gone lower. wrestlers who don't TT tend to go lower. I mean, that's just the reality of this situation. We are a TT-based group of leagues. So TT is going to be at a premium. NWL guys, you go back and look at the other drafts. Those guys are a premium. You want those guys. Those guys are, they bring a fresh perspective. They bring an enthusiasm and excitement when they come into your leagues. So there's high expectations for those guys to come in and really make an impact as well. Now, there was a question about trades. And if you feel good about doing a trade, you did the trade wrong. Like, I'm still kind of wondering. I was like, damn, did I give up too much for the Chameleon? I constantly wrestle with that all the time. But, it's a risk and reward system. It does put a lot of pressure on the Chameleon, too, by the way, because I fully expect him to bring it.
Can we cut to a shot of you waking up in bed screaming like, yeah?
It's stressful. I'm sitting here, we're doing this draft. I'm sweating. I take my clothes off. It's stressful. It is stressful because a bad draft can hurt your league for the next year. And I think I didn't have the greatest draft last year. No offense to the guys that I took, but I think I reached on guys last year. And I drafted guys higher than they probably should have went, and I got burned for that. And there's no way I was going to get burned like that again this year. So NWL guys are premium. We're looking to add those guys. That's why those guys go early. And all the NWL guys that we got are fantastic TTers, which makes them even more valuable. So, Mr. Anderson, what are your thoughts? What was your draft strategy and logic?
You and Matt have both spoken to a lot of the points that I would reiterate. I'm looking for people that are going to trash talk, are going to bring storyline, that I think are going to be a huge value added to the CWL. If you look at the people, if I look at my top 5 draft picks, they are all 5 are managers that I know would trash talk, that I know would be involved, that I know would be a benefit to the CWL. Because if you're in the CWL, if you're in the IWAR, our primary goal is, obviously, yes, we want a good number of cards. We want to be successful in that manner. But as you've already mentioned, our biggest success is to have a high number of active, engaged, enthusiastic, angle-based, and story-based players, right? If the CWL had the exact same amount of trash talk as it's had for the past 6 months and had 15 or 20 less cards, I would still be 98% as happy as I am right now. If we had the same number of cards and had 30% less trash talk, I would be working really hard to get the trash talk up, because that's what's important to us, right? We want to create stories, and we want people to be involved and have fun. So I picked players that I thought would be of the biggest benefit to increasing the enthusiasm and joy that people got from playing in the CWL.
Oh.
Now in terms of people that I wish I had gotten and missed out on, it's anyone from the NWL. I wish I got you all. Because those guys are really fun, and those guys are doing some really, really good stuff right now. And I wish I got more. I was like, right. Mm-hmm. You get upset when you're like, oh, someone took so-and-so wrestler, and you're like, oh man, I really wanted him. Right. But it's a shoot too, by the way, guys. We don't make deals or it's a shoot straight through. All of us are trying to make our leagues better.
Right. I can
Exactly.
speak to one thing when it comes to the BRL, kind of a different approach as opposed to your 2 leagues, is what I've been focusing on. If you've seen the latest bulletins with the BRL report, we're going into a new format for the commissioners' titles, where we kind of have a premium / a focus on the global championship for players. So that's the belt that can go after the IWAR championship, and then unified for the rest. And part of my thinking was going back to like some LWL days, was how there was really a focus on light heavyweight versus heavyweight and the title shots, and how it was like more pressure to win. And I'm trying to build the BRL to be a very star-based league, no pun intended, with some of the names. So when I was going to draft, I had a rough idea who my top 5 were, and I did pretty well. The reason I picked Star Factory and then Logan Kane is because their TT has been consistently top ranked throughout. Logan Kane, like he was kind of concerned, like, oh, my strats haven't been really great yet, but that'll come with time. Like, you'll get strats on track, and even when you get them on track, you're going to have ebbs and flows. But it's a trash talk I really look at, and one of the big things I look at as a commissioner is the interactivity. Is a matter of, did this person just go out and just put on a report? Like, I just stand up for a while, and I remember comics would come out and never read the room. They would just do whatever they wanted to do it. They didn't care if it flopped or not because they were going to do their set. Whereas the guy that reads the room interacts with the audience, has a better response, and that's what I'm looking for from the players, is who interacts really well. And Logan Kane does that. Star Factory, run by Joe G, does that. So, like Chameleon, we're joking about the big trade. And that was a fun thing. When we were doing the draft, it was funny because we would, again, this was the week before, we were all on Skype, and it was funny because somebody would pick something like, ugh, the groans. That was
yeah.
The best part was the groans. And then conversely, when we did the draft live and we announced it, I had the chat window with the rookies open and the NWL chat locker room, and just seeing the excitement. Oh my God, I got picked! I'm going to this league, and I knew that they get traded. We were laughing so hard because I'm telling you guys, I'm like, oh my God, they're all excited about this. They don't know they're going to get traded. But again, that's the fun of it, And again, this is a 6-cycle process. Let me back up a little bit. One of the questions I got from the NWL locker room was the scoring and how do you go about winning. And I probably didn't do a good a job as I should have to explain it. It's a 6-cycle contest. So basically starting in January and then going 6 cycles out, whoever scores the most IWAR points, so like, league champion, like titles you win in your league, will be the overall winner. And it's just the easiest way to do it. It keeps it focused on our IWAR scoring, if you will. And the first winner was Touchy Feely Fingers Fairlane, and then Ricky Kyle won it. So, it's a fun way to do it. It's a fun contest. And after 6 cycles, if you don't like it, you can leave. I mean, that's the thing. You're free to go. Some of the players have also asked, we changed it this year because a lot of the rookies who wanted to be in the draft were like, well, I'm not going to be eligible to leave or graduate, but I want to stay in this NWL. So we opened it up that it's just pure scoring. Now, there's a little bit of a, well, is that fair to the rest of the leagues because of competition-wise? But you know what? If somebody kills it, they kill it. And not to foreshadow, but Bruce Inferno is completely crushing it in the IWAR right now. He leads all wrestlers in scoring. So, you know what? He just took the elites and what was it, the Metro and everything else pretty much. So,
Pretty much.
Yeah. So we'll get into that later on. But the idea is that it's a simple contest. If you're in a group, so for example, Joe Fantastic, Blake Valentine, and Steve Larson were drafted as a unit as my first overall pick. If Blake Valentine scores the most points out of everybody, that group doesn't win. Blake Valentine wins, but that whole group is still considered one draft pick. But it's just we recognize the individual.
Yeah.
I hope that answers that question. I will say this: as a question from the crowd, when did you know you wanted to make the trade, and why did you trade for who you traded for? So I can tell you on my part, Handsome Hollywood Star, who's run by Brad, is one of the guys I wanted. He was on my radar. And a big reason why I wanted him was I don't have any representatives from Brad in the BRL. I love his trash talk. I wanted to get him in there. Is this one of those things where it's an anchor wrestler that'll hopefully he'll draw some other team in there as well and expand his roster? Possibly. But I was willing to trade some people over there to get him, so that's why I traded away Wrestler with No Name, Alabaster, and Unleavened Bread in a second-round pick, because I really wanted to get one of Brad's guys in there. And also, on a side view, I knew the CWL would be very welcoming to more NWL guys. So it was a win-win for that. So how about you fellas? What made you make the trades you made?
I think I pitched the trade initially. I think it was pretty late, too, in the draft process. I think we were, 6th or 7th round that I pitched this trade. And I'm looking at the computer screen because we used Google Drive, and we had a spreadsheet up, and I'm just looking and staring at the Chameleon's name, and it's just bothering me. So I pitched the trade, and Mr. Anderson had said he almost threw a fit because he got mad at me for even pitching such a good trade. And he was like, you son of a bitch. And he got mad, and he's like, but he really wanted to do it, but he really didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't want to give up those guys. And when it comes to draft picks and trades in general, it's not personal. It's not. I don't like this guy, so I'm gonna trade him, or I don't like this guy, and I'm not gonna pick him. It doesn't really go that way. It's more like we look at each wrestler as an individual. For me, it's like I would love to have all those guys. I hope to have more of those guys coming in, hopefully, and after perhaps after the draft or maybe even next year, if they get eligible for the draft again, because I would love to have them. It was just a case of like, we did a trade here, and it's you have to give up stuff to get stuff. Like no one, I'm not going to trade. I want to trade you a 7th round draft pick from 3 years from now to get this really, really coveted wrestler. You have to give up stuff to get stuff.
I did propose that, but
you did because you're a jerk.
Yeah. To that trade specifically, I mark out for the Chameleon all the time on the show, and I really wanted him, obviously. I would first like to apologize to all the people that I didn't tell that we did our draft for real, but we did it a week early because I had to keep a secret and lie to people I didn't want to lie to, because it would be like the 14th and they're like, so do you know who you're taking first?
Have a good idea.
Yeah. But besides that, I really wanted first 3 picks were Solomon Graham, the Chameleon, and Handsome Hollywood Star. And of I would say like the top 4 or 5 people I wanted, those were 3 of the top 4 or 5 I really wanted. So obviously I didn't want to trade the Chameleon. But at the end of the day, I was offered 3 really good wrestlers for the Chameleon, and I had to pull the trigger. And I was upset.
You're upset.
I was going to lose the Chameleon, but I recognized the value that Johnny Cartage and Derek Dark and Jordan Drake offered.
I love those guys too.
And so I had to do it.
It was hard.
But the other trade that I would say that may not have been as clear if you didn't know the whole story was Keelan Crash Wendor, because I really wanted to keep him. He recently graduated and came to the CWL, and I really wanted to keep him. And so as soon as Mr. Wansina drafted him, I said another explicit, and I said, I really want him. Can I trade you? I had the following pick. So I'll give you the next pick. You can pick again, and I'll give you like another. What did it end up being? A 4th round or something?
Yeah.
Like I'll give you another pick.
And I picked up Grant Sabrosa and his crew, which is a good pick. That's a good value pick, especially where we drafted him. So because he's someone that will teach you every cycle, and that's 3 guys. So
exactly. So it was a case where everybody kind of got what they wanted. I got to keep Keelan, but then Alex got to pick again, and he picked 3 people that I was hoping to get, but, you hedge your bets and you do as well as you can, because any of you who play, fantasy sports know you can't get everyone you want. So I really wanted to keep Keelan, and so I was willing to give up my next pick and another draft pick in the future in order to do that.
I don't think someone asked a question about, do you think someone went too early? I don't think anyone went too early.
No, I don't think so either. I would say I had, we
had a lot of guys drop.
Yeah, but I think we probably all had like a group of guys that we really, really wanted, and then a group of guys that we thought would probably go towards the top. And because I'm of the opinion, like, once you get out of the first round, there is not a big difference between the second round and the last round. You know what I mean? There's not necessarily a whole big talent gap there. Like, a lot of those guys could have went anywhere.
Right. I think for my way of thinking too was, there's so many players, and again, it comes down to like, one of the things people said like we had people beforehand could ask or make their predictions who would get drafted number 1, and I noticed like a lot of people picked Koenig, and we've had another draft trade. No, for me, we talk about trash talking. I know what Koenig can bring to the table, so I thought that was one of the best values for me because I got Koenig, Great David, where I did. But I also looked at player wise, there were so many wrestlers from one manager that it made it like I don't have to worry about drafting because again we go back to ultimately
he's good, so we can pick him up anywhere in the draft.
Right, and that also too. We're ultimately looking at the players, how many players we get in each league. So the BRL has about 35, 40 players in it right now. We're going to get an infusion of I think 5 or 6 more, and that's great. But also you look at, okay, well, who's there now? Like, I'm losing Gran Sabrosa. I'm losing some other people, but I'm gaining, Brad. I'm gaining Randall. I'm gaining John. So I look at that picture, and I know eventually I'm going to gain Joe and Larry. So, like, I might not have those players in the BRL right then, but when they do become eligible, they're going to come to the BRL, and that's going to be great for the league.
If I had to say the one I was surprised didn't go earlier, I would say it was Robbie Blood's guys. When you talk about there not being much of a difference between early rounds and later rounds,
mm-hmm.
The Orphan Crippler and Hester Fester and Rob Fash could have easily went 3 or 4 or 5 rounds ahead of where they ended up being. I feel like I got a real steal getting.
I think we had the conversations like those guys are going to win belts right away. Like they're going to change. They're going to change their 6-man division completely.
Yeah, right. So I felt like they were a really good value.
Yeah, I mean that's what you're trying. No matter which way you cut it, you're trying to gain value. You're trying to serve a lot of different masters here. You're trying to get your TT, more pages of TT. You're trying to get your cards up. You're trying to get guys who are enthusiastic. You want to get guys who maybe win a IWA wide and you get some recognition for your league as well. So you're trying to serve a lot of different masters here. It's just, again, it's where your priorities lie. And I think for all three of us, our priorities lie with, TT and angle-based play. So those guys are going to go early. Those guys are going to go first.
Well, do you want to talk about the actual draft and name the names?
Do you want to go through the list? Yeah, we can go through the list.
Well, there are people, I should mention, that are not on Facebook, so they didn't get to see.
Okay.
And I will post the actual draft order in the next issue. But just to kind of recap the draft, first overall was Mr. Anderson and Jamie Montgomery, who went to the IWL. Solomon Graham went to the CWL. The BRL took the Star Factory. The fourth pick was Late Night Logan Kane, also going to BRL. The CWL took the Chameleon. Later was traded to the IWL for the next pick, which was Johnny Carnage, Derek Dark, as well as Jordan Drake. Eighth pick was Handsome Hollywood Star. The ninth was R.A. Rude, going to the BRL. Going to the BRL as well was Wrestler with No Name, who was then traded for Handsome Hollywood Star. Exciting. Oh, and there was a question about the commissioners who weren't involved in the trade, who we thought won the trade. I think, like most drafts, you don't really know that until after a couple of years, or after
we'll see it. We'll see after the contest.
Right. Number 11, CWL chose Stylen Steve Sokolowski. I hope I said that right. The 12th, IWL took Big Bad Red Fox. The 13th was Scott Farkas and Grover Dill, going to the IWL, or staying there, I should say. CWL picked up Bagman Jimmy Henchman. 15th pick was...
Mr. Anderson was very, very excited about getting the Bagman.
Hey, it's Noble House, baby.
Dude, be down or get put down.
Yes. And Peckel Damon Voss went to the BRL, as did Koenig and the Great David. CWL took Alec Von Schnaps, reunited Von Schnaps. The IWL took H-Dell Imposter to keep him, and then took Keelan Crash Wendorf, who was then traded to the CWL for Gran Sabrosa, Prince Ton, and Shocker Jimmy Electric. The BRL took Sergeant Skullbasher from the CCL. BRL also took Clark Pierpont. The CWL took Paul Wrecking Cruz. The IWL took Death with the 24th pick. The 25th pick was Orphan Crippler. The 26th was CWL with Xander Zemus. The BRL at 27 took Mr. X. We don't know who he is, so that'll be fun. 28th pick, BRL took Dominique Barlow and Ash Andrews. The CWL took Hester Fester and Rab Fash. IWL 30 took the Savage Americans. The 31st pick, Liam Larkin, Sandover Man, and Felix Niles Bonaventura went to the IWL. The CWL took Ferragus Brennan to bring him home. And the final pick at 33, the BRL took the author of Agony, LePage Turner. Again, we will list these in the IWAR mag coming out with a special guest cover. So thank you all for taking part. We will do this again next year, and it should be even bigger. But that was our biggest draft yet. So thank you all. It's
probably the funnest thing that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and the mega match that we haven't done in 2 years. We should bring that back.
There's a certain build-up, right? I was really legit excited to do my first draft, and rarely does something live up to the hype that internally we put on stuff. But I love
people are on dates, like watching their phone while they're out on a date.
Yeah.
See when they got drafted. It's awesome.
So I was super thrilled to do the draft. I was super thrilled to post the draft. It was probably one of my funnest nights of the year.
And not for nothing. Even our detractors love the draft. And that's true.
Exactly.
That's true. They love it.
And one thing about it too, I will say this: it is a major undertaking. We took a lot of time to put work into this, and I did the little previews of the wrestlers. Those who didn't give me previews, I hope you don't feel slighted. I kind of had to whip up previews for the wrestlers or whatever. But next year, going in, we'll have another fun time and
declare early and declare often.
Yeah, think about it next year, and it's fun. And I think the funniest, what I'll remember most, is how hard we were laughing at the rookies who were so excited to be good.
Well, I'm getting messages like, "Oh, thank you for drafting me." I'm like, dude, I traded you. I'm so sorry. I feel bad now.
Yeah.
But I think the initial concept for the draft. I mean, I think me and you were on Skype, Matt, and I think it was the night of the WWE draft when they had the first superstar shakeup. That when they redid the brand split again, and then who was the guy who didn't get picked at the end? Was it what's his name? He got kids.
Oh, Heath Slater.
Yeah, Heath Slater wasn't picked, and they turned out the lights, and that was basically the idea for the draft. When we were just talking about it, it was like that'd be funny if we did a draft, and like, well, we can actually do it.
Yeah.
And then we hammed out the details.
I have been asked by other commissioners about getting in on the draft. At this time, we're keeping it to the IWAR, and there's no plans at this time, asterisk, to expand the IWAR. Although at one point we were rumored to be expanding across the whole IWA.
Well, I think a lot of people got upset when we had it at 8, and then when we brought it down, they were still upset, and now they want us to expand out of 4.
Yeah,
it's weird. We keep it at 4 because it's easier for us to handle and to manage, and there's only 3 of us that have to agree on something to to move forward instead of having 6 or 7 different commissioners who have their own ideas and their own play style.
Right.
We're all on the same page. So it's like, but make your own IWAR. I mean, you look at some of the others. There is opportunity out there for people to make, their own version of the IWAR out there. It can be done.
Well, I mean, there are other leagues across the IWA that are working together.
Yeah.
So if I could have a hot take, I think that the 3 of us at some point should consider the possibility of adding a 4th veteran league.
No, I've been asked by the BBL, I've been asked by the ASL, I've been asked by the HRL, and probably another 5 or 6 different leagues to come in.
Well, I think it's got to be gold.
Well, yeah. I mean, technically, could we expand to another Fed? In reality, yeah, we could. And, I like what's going on in the ASL right now. I think it's dope as hell. I love the BBL. I think that's dope as hell. I like the GNL. I think that's fucking awesome. They're doing a fantastic job. They get better every cycle, right? Or every tour, if you want to be a jerk about it. It's just easier to handle at 4. I think that's the hot spot. I think that's the managed number. And nothing negative about the other leagues. It's just that I think there's a perception out there that we can help them more than we actually can. If we added a new IWAR league, I think there's a thought process out there that a bunch of players would flock to that particular league and participate in everything and have great TT and great angles. I cannot guarantee that. It takes it's going to take a lot of work, especially if it's someone that's unknown from the outside, to come in and kind of earn people's trust. And I think that'd be very difficult. Well, and I think if we added another league, I think they would be very frustrated at first, and then they'd be mad at me.
Well, I mean, people are going to be mad at you anyway.
That's all right.
No, they'll get mad at me instead.
Oh yeah, they get mad. They get mad at Matt for shit that I do. So
I would have to say that I agree with you with the notion of it has to be a league that's already doing the things that an IWAR league would do. Right? Like, it can't be a league that's got 25 cards and no trash talk. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And it can't be a brand new league. It can't, it's a lot of stuff. I'm not saying that would never happen, but, I think right now we're hitting our stride. I don't want any kind of roadblocks or stumbling blocks to kind of hurt us at this moment.
Oh, yeah. I don't mean tomorrow. I just mean somewhere down the road.
If I had to pick, though, it would be my list of, hey, I want these people on the IWAR would be, if we were expanding, it's very simple. It would be ASL, it'd be GNL, it'd be LWL, it'd be UNL, it'd be LNL, GNL. Those particular leagues, I would be super interested in coming into the IWAR. We're just not looking to expand at this point because I think they're dope.
Yes, I will say is when it comes to the idea of expanding, what we have now is a very controllable, easy to manage, if you want to call it, 4-league system. And kind of your point, Alex, about what are those leagues doing for us? What are we doing for them? I think really, we see it. Like, the GNL, they did it right. They took the time, they built it, they put in the work, and now it's getting expanded. And one thing you have to realize as a commissioner, you don't control who comes to your league. So while you're going to pull in people that are good for your league and help, you're going to pull in some players who are just looking to cause trouble and be assholes, and that happens too, and that's fine. But you just have to realize how you handle them will dictate a lot of how people see you as a league.
Agreed.
I found that just ignoring them, the silent death penalty works best because they can say what they want. No one gives a fuck about them if they're going to come in and just cause trouble.
It's the reason why I don't have a credit prize. I could get one. IWA give me one. Not a problem. It's like, I don't want it because it'll bring in a lot of people that wouldn't TT, and they would clog up my title pages, and then maybe the people who do TT would be frustrated that they're not on the title page, and it would cause more problems than it would help me out, especially for a league of my size. Right, and that's the thing too is I look at the BRL and how the activity is doing really well, and that's great. I'm happy to see that. But my goal isn't for the most cards just kind of happening, but usually used to always be the NWL. And I just think one final point about the draft is that we were talking about previous show mentioned how back 7 months ago we were or a year ago oh my god, what's going to happen in NWL? How will we rebuild because we're losing? Not me, because I always say that shit. I always say relax, guys. We're going to be okay, and we always are. Yep. So we're gonna see how these guys play out, and I'm looking forward to the next crop of rookies. So yeah, we'll have fun with it. So I'm
to your point earlier about the draft, and to your immediate point just now, I obviously am somewhat biased, but I think that the class that I was in 2016, the 2016 calendar year, was a great class of managers, really good managers in that. And I'm we were a good class. But this year, the 2018 group, I'm man, I think they got us beat. I think they got 2016 group beat. I mean, it's so many really good managers who get it.
Yeah.
So very excited about 2019 with all of those managers going into veteran leagues, wherever they go, whether it's IWAR or other, because rookies do know that other leagues exist.
Right.
We do not, what's the word I'm looking for? We do not hoard rookies or players.
Shelter, I believe, is the word you're looking for.
Is it shelter? That's
It is shelter.
That's what they say? Okay.
It's all rigged.
That's all right. Because, they can't go on the website and look at a PDF. So, okay, Sarah with that. I do have a special announcement. We do have a winner for this year's Wargames. And I'm proud to announce that Mark Duchesne's team of Bad Dreams won once again. That's 2 years in a row. Just when you think, hey, you got a handle on Mark and what he's doing, and you got some wins over him, he comes back to remind all of us how much better he is than each and every one of us.
Nice.
It's fucking A, dude. He's stupid good. Everyone knows it. Proved it once again. So, congratulations. You should be getting your prize. And he wins $55 in IWA credits. So, congratulations. That is awesome.
It is. I would think it was more awesome if my team had won.
You came in third or fourth. I think you came in fourth.
Sounds about right.
Mark won with a 2485. Brad had a 2480. So it's a big gap between 1 and 2. 5 points. Yeah. 5 points is a lot.
5 points. Yeah, agreed.
Unfortunately, guys, I was not able to get the poster finished. There's 2 reasons. Number one, I didn't get all my pictures sent to me in a reasonable amount of time. So there have been teams. I had a mock-up of a blank person, not the blanks, but a blank person to represent a person. Unfortunately, my dog did break his leg, which actually took a lot of my time for last cycle. So I was unable to complete the poster. I may finish it at some point just to post it just for fun. I do apologize about that, but sometimes, as we often say, real life gets in the way.
See, that's why I have disconnected from all human real life interactions.
I know.
So that
I mean, that's why
I
you
do
have
not
that
have
roll
that,
call and stuff.
that
so.
issue. Yeah.
Mr. Anderson, do you have any CWL announcements?
Well, I would say the biggest CWL announcement is that this coming cycle is the first round of combustible elements, and that those teams were announced in the bulletin that you have now in October. And I would like to do a little Barry Horowitz pat on the back because I have no manager with more than one wrestler in a match, and also no two managers on more than one team together. So say Juan and I both have 4 wrestlers in the combustible elements. We are not on the same team more than once, but we might be, say, on the same team and then against each other in another match, right?
I do enjoy Luther's team of himself, Gary Galaxy, and Hostile Takeover.
I mean, that's a pretty good team.
That's a pretty good team. I'm hoping. Hopefully, we go far. I'm hoping that we go far.
Pretty good team. I'm looking at Lauren O'Dur, Winston Smith Jr., and Bruce Inferno. Pretty good draw. So depending on how many wrestlers you entered, it was more difficult to keep you separated from everyone. We did have a large influx of CWL wrestlers, which was awesome. Thank you, CWL. So you will see more than one CWL wrestler on a team because that's just the only way it could be split. So I split them up as evenly as possible.
Not to throw you a curveball, Mr. Anderson, but there has been a thought of folding up the CWL page into the IWAR page. What are your thoughts on that possibility?
Hot take on that. I would say at this time I am not interested in closing the CWL page. However, you may have noticed that I have started posting my CWL results on the IWAR page. I know a lot of our managers have a certain sentimental value to the CWL page, and I know that it was used very heavily for my tenure, and I think that the page itself, at least historically, has a large amount of value. So obviously I don't want to get rid of the page, but at some point it is certainly possible that I will encourage CWL managers to post on the CWL or on the IWAR network page.
Do you have a lot of managers who are not on both?
I will say that of the, say, 40 to 45 managers on the CWL page, almost everyone is on the IWAR page.
Okay.
There are like maybe 3 or 4 managers that are on the CWL page that are not on the IWAR page. So it's almost a complete overlap. I think of one notable name that is not on the IWAR page anymore, so I don't want to leave that particular player out of the CWL page. The CWL page will definitely stay open, but you will notice that I will be posting on the IWAR page. I think it's important for the other IWAR players to see what's going on in the CWL. So that's why I'm doing that.
I agree. All right, guys, so next up is the CWL Continental Wrestling League number 224. League champion Clark Pierpont, TV champion Marcus the Monster Monroe.
Yes.
You broke things because you're so happy.
United States champion Liam Larkin. Yukon champion Friendzone Frederick Goodfellow. Caribbean champion Fubar Snafu. Amazon Basin the Standover Man. British Isles champion Mike Baston. Arabian champion Pop Culture Peter Cross. South African champion Billy Stone. Siberian champion The Turkey Harley Brown. East Asian champion Milton Snodge Buster. Oceanic champion Axel von Schnapp. Tag team champs Axel and Alex von Schnapp. They win an additional 5 free matches. TV tag team champions Milton Snodge Buster and Pokey McSnail. 6-man champions winning 5 free matches Victor von Schnapp, Axel von Schnapp, and Alex von Schnapp. And your TV 6-man champions, the Standover Man, Felix Nine Lives, Buenaventura, and Liam Larkin. So, Mr. Anderson, what's going down in the CWL?
A lot. The first thing I want to mention, since we're talking about the champions, is that Friend Zone Frederick Goodfellow, managed by our good friend Brad, had a 501 and won IWA-wide Central. I know. He's got like 20 guys in the entire IWA, and I see his name in the report every cycle. But also, I should double check. I believe this was either the third or the fourth cycle in a row that both the tag team and TV tag team champions had 5/16s, which I think is pretty freaking incredible to have 5/16s for both champions for 3 or 4 cycles in a row. So they were both mentioned in the IWA. Unfortunately, they were not PPFs, so they did not win a share of the world or US, but they're mentioned. I would also like to congratulate everyone. CWL once again was in the top 6, so we qualified for the Metro, but we didn't win it this time. That's okay, but awesome job there. So very happy to see that.
Mr. Anderson, what's your favorite TT in the CWL this cycle?
If I have to pick one,
Due to time constraints.
Due to time constraints, if I have to pick one,
is it Mike Mason?
If I have to pick one, I would like to give an honorable mention to the Oddball Express and Mike Mason. Honorable mention, they're both great TTs. Probably the top TT, my favorite, was the conflict and fight between the Stones and the Syndicate. Really so if you haven't read it yet, that feud is going to pop off hot and heavy. It's good stuff there. That would be my favorite.
All right, fantastic. Next up is the NWL New Wave League number 121. League champion Bruce Inferno, TV champion Sadistic Sid Towers, Atlantic champion Victor the Possess Isabov, Central champion The Chameleon, Dixie champion The Idol Austin Atlas, Eastern champion Beautiful Blake Valentine, Mountain champion Bookworm, Northern champion the author of Agony LePage Turner, Pacific champion Friday Night Joe Fantastic, Prairie champion Stunning Steve Larson, Southern champ... Wait, did I say that right? Prairie champion Stunning Steve Larson. Southern champion Dirty Mike without the boys. Western champion Big Bad Bob. Tag team champions Beautiful Blake Valentine and Stunning Steve Larson. TV tag team champions Bruce Inferno and Gary Galaxy. 6-man champions winning another 5 free matches. Friday Night Joe Fantastic, Beautiful Blake Valentine, and Stunning Steve Larson. TV 6-man champions Bruce Inferno, Galley Galaxy, and the Bookworm. So, Matt, what's going down in the NWL?
Nothing.
IWL, no, champions.
No. First, congrats to Bruce Inferno, whose 501 netted him a amazing streak of success here where he won the Elite Championship, the Metropolitan Championship, the Gold Federation Championship.
Wow.
And I don't think I forgot anything else, but yeah, so hooray. Well done. This is what I hope to see happen. We have a little, like earlier tonight, a little powwow with the NWL locker room chat group, and I kind of go over some hold stuff, so if I helped at all, great, but I'm happy to see that happen. I think when we all talk about it, we all kind of get a better idea of what we're picking. And hopefully we'll have an NWL guy on the report each cycle because it's fun to see happen. So hooray. League-wise, there's a lot going on. We are ramping up into the 4th Clash of Champions, the NWL reunion. And if you are an NWL alum and you want to be involved, get a hold of me, let me know. TT-wise, I won't go through all of it, but I will talk about that.
You get one.
I'm just going to say the big reveal is that the Chameleon is working with the Christian Warrior and the American Patriot to become Omega Squadron, and they're going to change the league. So it was kind of being built up, and we didn't know what was going on with the 3 of them. So now we know they're all actually one group, and they're taking it to the league. So there it is.
Upset if I didn't mention how awesome Big Bad Bob's picture is, by the way. Because he's all about hardcore wrestling. So, all right, next up is the IWL Independent Wrestling League number 94. League champion Winston Smith Jr. Television champion Someone in the Know. New York City champion, the New Age Outlaw Mark Malice. Hey, I know him. Los Angeles champion Scott Farkas. Boston champion Luther Alexander. Detroit champion Alec Von Schnapp. Cleveland champion Andrew Jefferson Couchman. Dallas champion Tim Riggins III. Memphis champion American Justice. Miami champion Bubba Bedfender. San Francisco champion Solomon Graham. Chicago champion Hostile Takeover. Tag team champions winning another 5 free matches. Graham, Underwood, and Kennedy Cage. TV tag team champions Luther Alexander and Tim Riggins III. 6-man champions Luther Alexander, Tim Riggins III, and Alex Von Schnapp. 6-man champions Pastor Payne, Haruki Fuji, and Achilles Leos. So Alex G, what's going down in the IWL? Pay-per-view. We just had the King of the Ring pay-per-view, and spoiler alerts: the winner of this year's King of the Ring is Winston Smith Jr. So your prize should be in your email as soon as I contact the IWA. It was a fantastic pay-per-view, guys. Please send me your match write-ups as soon as possible, like right this second. I would appreciate that because I still got to put together that pay-per-view, and I am very much behind in terms of getting stuff done for this cycle. So if you guys can be awesome people and get me your TT, that would be awesome. And in terms of TT for the IWL, I want to talk about the War Goddess. The War Goddess has recently made her appearance, and her is attempting to make an impact here in the IWL. She's going after Luther Alexander, which is a tall order for her, but I think she can do some very nice things. I think last time we compared her to Sasha, she does have that much potential, but we'll see going forward how good she will be. But yeah, I really liked her TT. It was really, really good. Next up is the BRL Battle Royal League number 522. League champion, the Extreme Icon Hannibal. TV champion, Classy Eddie DeGrassi. Atlantic champion, Bryce Rockefeller. No, that's Bryce Rock-E Feller. There's no R in Rockefeller here. Central champion, Koenig. Dixie champion, Hot Stuff, Adam Cash. Eastern champion, Bitter Cold Becky. Mountain champion, Lord of Illusion. Northern champion, Bruiser Brett Brown. Pacific champion, Misfit Puppet number 2. Prairie champion, Wolf. Southern champion, Rick Riley. Western champion, These Nuts. Tag team champions, Bruiser Brett Brown, Jim Whiskey. TV tag team champions, Hot Stuff Adam Cash and Fatty the Butcher. 6-man champions, Fester, Hester, and Rab Fast. TV 6-man champions, Misfit Puppet number 1, Misfit Messiah, and Misfit Puppet number 2. So, Matt, what's going down in the BRL?
Oh, not too much. Just the usual mayhem and anarchy. Glad to see the Icon win the league title. Yeah. That's bring some really good trash talk, so it's good to see that combination.
I like El Barbero in the Leaves Bacato. That makes me hilarious.
I think the one big kind of twisty turn was we have a simmering feud erupting. We had our pay-per-view Autumn Anarchy 7, and the main event was a showdown between the Disciples of Doom and the Suburban Hell Savages, at which point at the end, after the Savages won by a point, but the big thing was Blood Money came out and caused havoc by kicking the valets in the face of the Disciples of Doom, so expect to see some repercussions from that. We have a lot going on, Lee. Again, special thanks to Mike for doing the BRL Trash Talk recaps. It really helps out with the league because there's so much going on.
A lot.
Yeah. I would say that's BRL has a lot going on, but again, we're still asking people to identify which of their wrestlers and their crew they want to have be the global contender and which they want to have unified, because you can't have more than one unless you have a 6-person roster. So if you have more than 3 guys, then you can have 2 in there. But we're working on it. So let me know if you want to get in on the global/unified scene. Once we start it up, it's going to be more fun to know who's in now. So there it is.
All right, fantastic. And Matt, do you have anything IWAR-wide for us?
Let's see. Well, the ladder match battle royal is still accepting applications, so if you want in, let me know ASAP. Same thing for the tag team derby. You can see the IWAR Facebook page for more details. It's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be quick, so don't delay, because I'm not doing one of those things where, oh, I know you started everything, but can I get involved? No, you can't.
What is the due date on that?
I asked for November 6th, a day, I think the day or two after. November 10th is like a day or two after, because I want to get this ramped up for not this upcoming, a cycle after, so it'll be unloaded. So I need to know ASAP.
Okay.
So
I will be entering some people.
Yeah. The Triple D 6-Man Cup is ongoing. Oh, I've just got a lot getting ready for next year. I'm having surgery in December, so I'm going to try to get things prepped up and done for year-end stuff. So get ready for that coming out soon. So there it is.
All right, fantastic. Again, guys, we went a little light on the TT because the draft coverage was a large portion of our show today. So don't worry, next cycle we will have a full recap of all the TT and all the goodies going on in the IWAR. So, you know.
Oh, wait, one more thing. I don't want to forget to announce the special event in the NAL Classic, 4th NAL Classic. It is in the Diamond Federation. It's a $5 per wrestler fee. You can check out details of this on the IWAR page. We'll also have an ad in this next issue, so learn more about that soon.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, definitely the NAL is an up-and-coming league, and I think they're going to do great things moving forward. That being said, guys, we are officially out of time, unless Mr. Anderson is going to interrupt me now.
Nope.
Nope, okay. All right, guys, so for Mr. Anderson, for Matt Riley, I'm Alex